What's up, everybody, and welcome back / I guess to Geekwave Games, a rebranding off of Crimson Gaming Corner. This is your one-stop shop for everything gaming happening here at the University of Utah. I am your host, Jaxson Day, and today I am joined by one of our new members of Geekwave, Aspen Gardner. I should have double-checked your last name's pronunciation, but how you been doing?
Doing well. Yeah.
Good.
It's been a nice summer.
Yeah, you kind of joined beginning of summer.
Yeah.
So, and I guess just give a little bit of your title, what you're going to be doing here at Geekwave and stuff like that.
Sure. I was kind of brought on through PR, who's kind of on the video team. He's now the main manager, isn't he, of the video team?
Yeah, he's like the video lead,
director, lead video lead. That's what it's called. So PR is the video lead, and that's kind of my main connection into it.
Mm-hmm.
Met him in one of the film classes last fall semester.
Yeah.
Got introduced to it. Seemed like a lot of fun. Good interest in terms of like interest level of what Geekwave does and puts out, as well as like getting experience for like portfolio and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm joining PR on the video team, helping out with editing, various things, helping out with like assistant camera when needed on his projects.
Nice.
So yeah.
Hence why we actually have a video version, because we actually have people who know how to work a camera.
Hello there, camera.
But yeah, cool. I'm curious of like, I mean, we have some things planned that maybe we don't want to talk about just yet, but like, what do you think will be, is there anything that we want to shout out from the more video side? I mean, obviously we'll have more video stuff in terms of podcasts and some more short form stuff from Anime Town. I guess that's pretty much it. Is there anything?
Yeah, that's kind of what we got in the works right now. I mean, some of the other reviews that PR does as well have video elements. But so doing more of those, as well as like different ideas that we've had of like doing more skit oriented things or things like that would be an avenue of doing more video recording as well as with the audio. But yeah, we've just got, right now it's kind of working on, we just did the Koroks hanging around the campus, which was a fun little thing.
We'll talk about that in housekeeping a little bit more.
Yeah, but I think other than that, just mostly been working on editing so far in terms of like getting the backlog of what we've got already produced and filmed, edited down and put out there. So we'll see what future stuff that I'll start working on after that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit slower during summer. Obviously, I mean, we haven't had a Geekwave Games or Crimson Gaming Corner post in a while. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, excited to have you on.
We'll have to join the team.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
We'll have a couple more we've had a couple new people that will be on the podcast from Geekwave specifically. So you're the first one of the new batch.
new guinea pig, I'll take it.
Sweet. But yeah, how's your summer been outside of Geekwave, I guess?
Got a new job, which has been nice, kind of getting the swing of that. Actually getting like production work, which has been good experience in portfolio building. So summer's been mostly, the new job, getting adjusted to that and going from school sleep schedules to work sleep schedules, which is a little bit of a little change, but.
Are you staying up later or are you getting up earlier?
Well, it's a little both because I only have to work like 3 days a week. I just work more hours those days. So those days it's wake up early, take a nap when I get home kind of a thing. But then other days it's more the normal stay up till midnight 2, wake up at 10 kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm working now at 10 to 3. Okay. Usually like every day now.
Yeah. I'm 12 to 5, so about the same, just 2 hours later. Yeah.
But it is that sort of thing where like staying up too late and now sleeping until 9. Whereas my sleep schedule during school semester is waking up at 7:30. And usually, honestly, is still staying up till like midnight. Definitely not healthy, but you gotta grind destiny somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, totally do classwork.
No.
Yeah, we're students. It's homework. Yeah.
I mean, quite literally for this podcast, my homework has been to play Tears of the Kingdom. So
yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. We are finally going into Tears of the Kingdom. For previous listeners, we have been talking about Tears of the Kingdom. I feel like on every single podcast, no matter that guest or no matter what. Because when we were recording, it was like the weird marketing that was going into this.
Yeah.
Of just like how interesting the marketing's been of a trailer at the very beginning, years of silence, and then months before it's like, okay, it's coming out May, and here's the direct, and here we go. And I've loved how Nintendo's been doing that recently. I mean, they just announced a new Mario game that's coming out in 4 months now. And
Nice.
I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah. I kind of have not a love hate, but more like an on and off relationship with Mario. Of we didn't have all the games growing up, but then when I'd borrow it from a friend, I'd binge it, and so I have like really fond like weekend memories with Mario games of like just binging it for way too many hours, just sitting there having to go to the bathroom, but like no, one more level, kind of a thing. But I really enjoyed Odyssey too, so I'm excited to see what's going on with the new one. I actually haven't looked at. Is it a trailer that they put out or just an announcement?
It's called Super Mario Wonder.
Okay.
It basically looks like what if Mario was tripping on shrooms the whole time.
Okay, fun.
He turns into an elephant at the end, and I could not be more excited.
Yeah.
I've been getting, because of the Mario movie,
I've
been getting my younger sister, who's like 7, more into Mario.
Yeah.
Where it was like, hey, these are like video games too, and like here's my old Switch. I don't know, just do whatever you want. You want to play Mario Kart? I can help you out with that.
Never heard of it before.
Literally. And it's always funny the questions she asks where it's like, have you played Mario before? And she's like, do you know what I do in my room most of the time?
When I escape from family time and I'm recluse,
yes,
that's
what I'm
That's
doing.
what it is.
But I'm really excited to be able to play like a full-fledged 2D Mario game with her. Yeah. We've been playing through 3D World, but the 3D dimension is a little bit harder.
That's the one with the cat suits were first introduced, and it was kind of the top-down 3D.
It's not really top-down. It depends on the level, to be honest.
Okay.
But it is just that more universal access versus 2D is a lot easier. I grew up with 2D, specifically like the Wii one.
Yeah.
So I think it should be easier for her to play.
Yeah. We did that Wii one. My brother was leaving after college, and we did like a bucket list thing before he moved, and that was one thing that we wanted to finish playing out the one that was on the Wii, the Mario.
Smart.
Yeah, Super Mario Bros. On the Wii, and that's a fun game. Just being able to pick people up and throw them off. Like we didn't play very well, very smart, but it's fun.
I did that a lot with my sister, where it's like, okay, we have 100 seconds left. I'm gonna pick you up, and we're just gonna go to the end. And she would die from that. It's just the best. I need to get back to playing that with her.
Yeah.
But before we get into Tears of the Kingdom more specifically, once again, this is Geekwave Games, a podcast from Geekwave, a branch of student media. Basically, it's just where we come on and we chat with random guests like you, or from more specific people from Geekwave, just about games, what we've been playing, what's going on in the industry. You can find this podcast on all your favorite podcasting sites. Make sure to like and share the podcast. Give us a rating so we know how to improve. And then also make sure to follow all of our social media from Geekwave, specifically the Instagram and Twitter, which is _Geekwave, TikTok at the Geekwave. And we also have a Discord channel that the invite will be in the description. Outside of that, a little bit more housekeeping. As you said, like literally an hour ago, we were putting up Koroks all across campus with a little QR code to just our page. So keep an eye out for that. Share it with your friends. We've hidden a couple, put some more on bulletin boards, and we've got an Instagram post coming out soon that kind of hints at where some of the secrets are. But it's been really fun. Sarah, our new artist, did all the art for that, and she killed it.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, it was all her idea.
Yeah.
Very well executed. I'm excited to see how it all works out.
They're fun around campus, so it's just looking at the pictures that we took, like where we hit them.
Yeah.
Fun to look back and just.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, we've had a couple of written reviews go out. We've got Caitlin, who will be joining on the podcast either next time or soon. She is going to be mostly reviewing books, so she has a review out for The Secret History by Donna Tart, of course. And then we also have a new review from Ronnie of an indie game called Shadows of Doubt. So make sure to give those a read, see what they thought of both of those. And then outside of that, we have 2 new podcasts coming out, one of which is Banter with Bells. A little bit of a different thing from Geekwave, where he's going to be interviewing mostly athletes and just a bunch of students, just kind of about their lives. So make sure to give that a listen. It's very well done. Brendan is a very good host. And then outside of that, we also have Geek Out, which is just going to be a bunch of people from Geekwave, just sitting here shooting the shit, like talking about whatever. I feel like we might.
Tears of the Kingdom might come up again, maybe
Yeah,
not.
I'm debating whether or not we should talk about
Limit it.
Across the Spider-Verse because I
Uh-huh.
feel like that's how most of our
I'll step out
meetings
for
go.
that and
That's
cover,
what I'm not
cover my
sure
ears.
about.
Or maybe tonight I'll go watch it real fast.
Yeah. But no, it'll just be all of us kind of talking, catching up. I don't feel like we've gotten a good chance to do that outside of meetings.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty fun.
That sounds fun.
Also, a couple of you guys haven't gotten a chance to be on content.
This is literally the first thing I'm doing.
this
And
is
so it's
literally-
kind of
yeah.
like, that and doing a podcast with the big group would be fun to kind of see what it's like.
So that should be coming out soon as well. Outside of that, I don't know if there's anything else we really need to shout out. PR's Peaky Blinders review will be coming out soon.
Anime
and-
Town footage.
Anime Town. We did go to Anime Town and captured a bunch of footage there. Have some short form TikToks coming out soon. Do you think that we call those TikToks or Reels? No, I'm just because like the term is TikToks, but I don't think we
Yeah.
post on TikTok that much anymore.
I think we would probably use it more as the reel.
Yeah.
But
okay, that's just
Yeah.
side tangent. Yeah, that was pretty much everything.
Cool.
So let's finally
What?
talk about crying kingdoms or whatever dumb joke that I have. I have
The
so
tears
many
that I have
thoughts.
sobbed. playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whew, just wait till you get okay. So yeah,
Mhm.
a little bit of a preamble. I have finished the game. We are not going to talk about spoilers in terms of getting the Master Sword, which is mostly where I cried. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest. Get
yeah.
prepared for that.
Yeah.
I want to hear your theories as well.
Sure.
But as well as just the ending. I believe you haven't gotten to Zora's dungeon, but we can
Yeah.
talk about that as well.
And I'm a fool. I realized that I left the water temple for last, that means, which notoriously are
isn't-
my least favorite and the hardest for me.
I don't.
And so I didn't realize that I left it for last, but
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be okay.
It's a.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
The Goron and the
Okay.
Gerudo.
Which you haven't finished Gerudo.
I'm
You've,
halfway, like I
halfway
just
through.
entered the
Yeah,
temple. Those two temples were temples.
Yeah. Yes.
The Rito one was a little bit more like the Divine Beast in Breath of
Yes.
the Wild. So I was kind of a little lackluster. It's like, okay, same vibe, so I'm not disappointed, but also not,
hmm
I'm not blown away by the Rito one.
Yeah.
Where does the Zora lie? Is it more like Rito or is it more
I
like a
honestly
temple?
say it's a little bit more in the middle.
Into the middle. Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's as diviny
Yeah.
beastie
Mhm, yeah.
as Rito.
Hi, Diviny.
But it is. That's the weird thing. We can get into it. Of
Mhm.
just, I do think that these dungeons
Mm.
are a good step in the right direction. As someone who grew up with like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, not quite there yet.
Yep.
And I know that the argument is like, oh, the world itself is a puzzle, and you're constantly coming across things. Just let me spend 5 hours struggling over like the water temple in
Yeah.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
I hate it, but also like I miss it.
Yep.
It's a love-hate relationship. And while I appreciate these new dungeons, I never felt like I ever got stuck. I always felt like the puzzles were they just made sense.
They're
And-
pretty linear as well.
Yeah.
In terms of you go to this room, to this room, to this room, this level. Like
Yeah.
they're pretty straightforward.
The only one that didn't feel like that is the Goron one, which I've
Uh-huh.
heard, and I kind of did a similar thing. People just broke because you just fly around and you can do whatever
Do all
instead
the
of using the
rails,
minecart.
Yeah.
What did you end up doing that?
I use the mine cards just
Okay.
because like I'm too resource savvy, and so like I can't use anything. They're
Yeah.
they're free. I can use those.
Makes sense.
So I use the cards, but
Okay. It took me a while to
yeah.
let go of the resource management part and just like, I'm going to build a car just for the hell of it. And
Yeah.
I
I've
always
got
am
a
like,
Korok to get off the side of the road to go find his friend. I might as well build a cart for it.
don't get me. I mean, I know we spent forever
Hiding
putting up with
Koroks.
hiding Koroks.
Imagine the game developer hiding 999
I know,
Koroks in the game.
I'm curious how the completionist is
Yeah.
doing on that.
I don't
'cause
even know if I've heard if there are the same.
There's a little bit more.
There's more.
Yes.
What about shrines? Shrines was 120 before.
I think it's 150,
It's 150 now.
which it seemed like, I don't remember if like you got anything for completing the shrines.
You get the Hero of Time outfit. Like where you go
Really?
with Impa in this game.
Yeah.
Impa and
Whatever
Robbie or
Robbie, yeah. something.
Kato, one of the guards that's with Impa all the time.
Yeah.
The first, you go to the, let's look at the name of it.
This is nice that you have your actual
Yeah,
map.
the-
I totally should have done
The
that.
Forgotten Temple. The one that's,
that's
in
right.
the Elden Canyon.
Yes.
End of the
Which
game. You
is
get
where
all
you
the
find
shrines.
all the geoglyphs now.
Right.
Okay.
The map of the geoglyphs, like there's the big, huge goddess statue that's
Mhm.
fallen over, and you go behind that to find the geoglyph map room.
Mhm.
That goddess statue used to be upright. and I think there was a shrine either just before it or just behind it.
Mhm.
That shrine is where you
Yes.
got the full, or I think it was just a room actually. They're just chests, and you got the full Hero of Time outfit.
Interesting. Is
But-
it the same? I mean, maybe a little bit of spoilers. Is it the same hero time that you find in Tears of the Kingdom?
Well, this one you find multiple.
yes.
Right, there's some that's based on Link's Awakening, some like Wind Waker
Have
and
you
stuff.
found any of those?
I've found the top of one of them, but I haven't found many.
Okay. I mostly got them from amiibos. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I only have like the Tears of the Kingdom one I bought,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Smash one, which I think is based off of Twilight Princess. At least I
think it
got
is
the whole
still,
Twilight
yeah.
Princess one out of that. And I do have the Link's Awakening one because that
Mhm.
little cute guy I
Yeah.
cannot get enough of.
Yeah. I really like the style that they did with Link's Awakening,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope they kind of still remakes are kind of it's mixed, whether they're good or bad or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think I like that they did a new art style,
Me
kind of
too.
revamped it and made it cute and fun. So I
Well-
really enjoyed Link's Awakening.
Yeah. That's how I feel about the Super Mario RPG remake, where it
Yeah.
is like, and I feel like Link's Awakening did this pretty well too, where you kept with the original
Mm-hmm.
idea, and one could argue that like with Link's Awakening, the art style actually helped the theme of the game
Yeah,
a little bit,
yeah.
where it is
Dreamscape, Kidscape, toys, kind of
Yeah.
a thing, Legos, kind of a realm. Yeah.
yeah. So I hope similar to what you said of just I hope they stick with that. Maybe like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really want them to remake Link to the Past because I feel like that
Mm.
works really well.
That's true. There's a certain there's a nostalgia point of it fits that genre. It's how it was made. It was written.
Mhm.
The even something I just think is funny, like Game Boy Pockets
Mhm.
only have 3 channels for sounds.
Yeah.
And so I noticed in Pokemon games, there's usually a melody going on in the music, counter
Oh, yeah.
melody, and then there's like a little bit of a bass track kind of going on with the
'Cause that's all
triangle
they had.
synth. Yeah, that's all they had. They got 3 tracks. That's what they got. But if you ever trigger a sound effect, like if you bump
Mhm.
against a wall, it gives you a little burnt sound effect
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're walking. The whole alto line drops out because they don't have they have to
Oh,
still play the
yeah.
main melody, but now they need to play the sound effect, so the alto line drops out. Anyways,
so
side tangent about music, but that's kind of true with older games. There's kind of I like it how it is emulated or just on
Yeah.
the systems it was on is kind of just fun to revisit and go
Mhm.
back to.
Which that's a good point. I mean, whether or not emulation or not, you
Mhm.
still have ways to revisit those old games.
Yeah.
And so
what harm does a remake necessarily do?
yeah, the only problem is when it almost tries to replace it, which I don't think has
Yeah.
happened too much.
I don't
Because
think so.
emulation is just that's what we have to do as someone
Yeah.
who owns a Steam Deck and definitely uses it for only legal purposes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's sure a little questionably. But even that's I'm conflicted because to me, I have long dreamt that the Switch will finally be my Zelda console,
Oh yeah.
meaning I could actually collect all the games on it. So I like that they've brought up to 64. They have all the Zelda games emulated now on the Nintendo Switch Online. This is here.
Breath
Link's
of the Wild.
Awakening, Breath of the Wild. They already remade Wind Waker and Twilight.
Tell me about it.
So they may just get another port, I hope.
It's so
Skyward's been
easy.
remade.
Skyward Sword also got remade, which was
Yeah.
actually really good. I don't know if that's a remake or remade, whatever.
I think it was a half port, half remade, mostly just to give more motion control changes, things
Yeah.
like that. But I think the rest of it stayed the same.
Yeah. But I played Twilight Princess on the Wii, Wind
Mhm.
Waker on the Wii U. They're
Yeah.
so good.
Mhm.
And I'm a similar boat where I'd love it if my Switch was just Universal Zelda
All
console.
Zelda. Yep.
Anytime I wanted to hop on whatever game, I would love to replay Wind Waker. And
Mhm.
sure, I can plug in my Wii U, but don't tell me what to do. I'm going to be lazy.
You're going to tell me I have to drive 4 hours to go to my parents' house, grab my GameCube, pop in Wind Waker to my GameCube. It's a little much.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just in a closet in a room for me, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's got to happen at
It's
some
got
point.
and Wind Waker and Twilight, I feel like they could probably do as a pair port,
Mhm.
like they did with Mario. They did
Oh, the
64,
3D, yeah.
the 3 that were together. They
Mhm.
could maybe do that with those two.
Yeah.
They were already sold and ported. But hopefully. Because then I can have everything in one. My OCD will be happy. I'm just all right, all my Zeldas here.
Well, I'm curious then, as halfway-ish, you could say, through Tears of the Kingdom,
Yeah.
where does this, I mean, if you can even say, because I can't,
Sure.
I finished it,
Yeah.
I can't even really say, but where do you think this stacks up for you in terms of Zelda games?
So I think it builds off Breath of the Wild really well. And so to me, it's only improvement in that
Mhm.
way. In Breath of the Wild, it's such a big change from past Zelda games still for me. I didn't realize how much it was playing it because it was new and exciting.
Right.
And so it was just like, oh, there's a new game, all that stuff. But when I went back and played Twilight Princess after, it's like, oh, I kind of miss the linear, the kind of like this traditional
Yeah.
dungeons and stuff. So my answer's conflicted, right?
Yeah.
This is so amazing. Everything about it's just perfect. I love it. I get absorbed into it. I literally walk, not run, for hours, just going around through the trails and stuff.
That's when I know I love a game.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing that with Final Fantasy 16 right now.
Yeah.
Where I never want to run. I just want to walk and take in everything.
I'm having fun. Like I'm here. I'm playing the game. That's beautiful. Like that's what I want to be here for. So this has such a like another element to it, a whole nother realm to it. But nostalgia is a little bit of a bitch and a little bit needy. And so it's hard for me to give up Skyward, Wind Waker, and Twilight.
That your top kind of Skyward, Wind Waker, Twilight?
Those three for different reasons.
Yeah.
Because I'll cop out of saying this is my number 1 or 2 because I'm that way. Wind Waker, it's the world, it's the music, it's the characters. Skyward Sword, it's the story. Twilight Princess, it's the mood and story and world. The grittier kind of feel of it. So like I like them for different reasons.
Okay.
And this, I think I can say that it is my top because it combines my favorite of each thing.
Yeah.
Like from Wind Waker, the open expanse spaces, going back to towns, the villagers you get used to, like, oh, I remember this snot-nosed running kid in whatever town it is.
Whatever town.
No, it's not Dragon Rouge Island. That's the Rito. I love like revisiting places like, oh, I remember these people. Yeah. And that's a big thing with Tears of the Kingdom. Like, oh, we get to go back to where we were in Breath of the Wild, see the same people. So like that element transferred the best for me. Twilight Princess, the best elements, the darker story, the Gerudo storyline, like holding down the town. Yeah. There's one specific mission in Twilight Princess I love that you go into like a Western town. Right. All you've got is the bow and arrow. They have all the snipers. It's like, it's a Western like shoot down kind of a thing, but you got bows and arrow. I love that mission. So it's very like nostalgic of that. Yeah. And then Skyward.
I feel like for me, it's the story.
Story is the biggest thing. Yeah. And that's even kind of a bridge to the Master Sword stuff of my theories of story-wise, this feels the most similar to Skyward Sword. Interesting. And I loved Skyward Sword story. Yeah. Skyward Sword story, specifically the time stuff with Zelda and her on her own mission while you're on your own mission, how they line up. Okay. The close chances that you meet has been a big thing with this. Of like, we're literally following around sightings of Zelda. Like, oh, is that really her? Is this someone else that's maybe nefarious and not actually Zelda? I don't know yet. Yeah. I don't have all the memories.
What are your theories on that?
I think it's Sonya doing what has to be done for the timeline. That's been my best guess so far. My other guess is it is Zelda, and it's more just she's causing harm, causing problems, but not in any way that she knows Link couldn't solve, or it's just meant to egg Link on into going further. So, could be Zelda, could be Sonya. My other thought is, if Master Koga wasn't in the game, I would think maybe it's a little bit of Yiga clan stuff. Yeah. But it seems like they've separated that. They're more in the depths. They've kind of got their own storyline going on.
And I think he does mention like we're building something for I don't know if he specifically says Ganondorf, but like the King of Darkness or something.
I think he's using like what says in the legend, which I think is the Demon King. Demon King's the main title I think he used. Yeah.
Gotcha. I won't say anything. I just won't say anything.
Sure. But I'll spoil Skyward Sword.
Oh yeah.
The spoiler in that is you first go down to the surface, you see the Temple of Time, you see Impa, she's all old, there's a room behind her. You don't really look in it because there's no reason to look into it. But you play through the game and you learn that there's the time looping, and she's back there frozen in a crystal in the back room from the whole time. And that's kind of that moment of like, wait, I just saw this memory. I'm back here, and here's Impa. I went back and looked at the little slit in the doors, and you can see the crystal. Like, I'm getting chills right now because it's just like, I love that moment of like, man, Zelda's been here the whole time. I love the looping. I could have seen it, but I didn't. And that's what I feel like is the biggest thing with it, especially the Master Sword. In that first memory, I did not use the sword on the Great Sky Island because I was like, I don't want to lose this. I want to like have it just for like if I want the sword out every once in a while. So I didn't use it on the island. Yeah. Kept it unbroken, get to that altar, put it over, and just had
the Your Name moment.
The Your Name moment, just beautiful. The pen drop, but the sword's just gone. And I loved it. I I lost my mind. I
Mhm.
just sat there like they're gonna pull some Skyward Sword shit on me again. My theories on where the sword is could still be Korok Forest.
So you haven't been to Quark Forest
I
yet?
haven't.
Okay.
I've avoided it in the sense of like
I
there's a
did
chance it's
that.
there.
I did that too.
Yeah. Plus, I want to for sure get all the memories done. The
Mhm.
first batch of memory, like the geoglyph ones or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I don't want to say anything, of course, but there is a definite moment, like
mhm.
what you said, where it's like, oh, I could have noticed this. She's been here the whole time.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there is that moment in this game, and it hit so hard. That's when and it's interesting as I grow up, and I don't know why this is happening. I'm not really gonna place it. There's probably some sort of trauma stuff for it. I cry a lot more at like
Yep.
media nowadays.
Yep.
Because I bet if I played Skyward Sword, I actually did replay it
Mm-hmm.
just because I never finished Skyward Sword when I was a kid.
I got the last boss.
Exactly.
I couldn't beat the
But
last boss
no
because he
idea
had
how.
to use the lightning thing, and I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, and then when it came out and you could actually use the joystick, it was so much easier.
Life saving.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
I thought I just sucked at games.
I literally left the game probably for 5-7 years on the last boss. I tried to beat him for like a full week, tried to beat Demise, and just couldn't. So I eventually gave up and just watched the ending movie, like just
That's
on
smart.
YouTube. So I finished the game. I felt content. But yeah, like 7 years later, I'm like, I'm gonna
That was
do
the only
this
reason
right
about
now.
the HD one was to
Yep.
beat him. Because I also lost the save data. Because I
Right.
think I like gave my copy to a friend. I don't know if he ever gave it back
Mhm.
or what happened to it.
I may
something
have
happened.
someone's Majora's Mask.
I still
Dang,
have
was looking bad
someone's
out.
Force Unleashed copy that I still haven't even played. He
Yeah.
just gave it to me, and I
Yeah.
was like, I promise I'll play it. And then I moved halfway across the world.
It's mine now.
But yeah, I'm excited to see you get to some of those moments because
Yeah.
it sounds like you will be very satisfied.
And I think the music has never disappointed me in the cutscenes. The cutscenes, I guess they're not the cutscene ones, but the ones where it's like, even after the fact, there's just dialogue, it's just the text box, not the voice acting, but there's still like more cinematic music going on. I'll let the text go. I never skip past it fast. I like just go through it because sometimes they even have animations of like the characters are doing things. I let all those play out, sit in the music 10 more seconds, and then kind of keep going.
Yeah,
So I'm very excited.
That's one thing that I'm so happy about because I mean, a complaint was that Breath of the Wild's music was kind of lackluster, which I agree. I definitely will like turn on 10 hours of Zelda music to study, like Breath of the Wild music.
It's great for looping.
Yeah.
It's great for relaxing. Like it is very non-disruptive. So it is great.
Yeah.
But is it the Legend of Zelda 25th anniversary CD that came with Skyward Sword that I plopped into my old CD player that had a little subwoofer on and I literally listened to and played countless hours.
But that's why I'm happy that they kept the same Breath of the Wild feel in some moments. And then when the cutscenes hit and when the memories hit, they are just like full orchestra playing right now. And like even you got the Wind Temple.
Yep.
And as a Wind Waker fan, there's a lot of similarities there.
Even in the climb.
Yeah.
So that one had a lot of Wind Waker themes musically, which is great. It brought in the accordion, which I loved because of Cass. I still haven't found Cass. I don't know if Cass is out there or not.
I don't know. I think they reference him, but I don't know if anyone's found him.
Okay. So that makes me a little sad, but that's okay. But Cass's accordion being in the music was kind of fun, little tie for that. And then the other thing I noticed was with any Zelda game, when you're approaching Hyrule Castle, Ganon's theme slowly builds more and more as you go with each layer.
Especially in Breath of the Wild.
Yes. And even in the wind, like climbing up to the boats and ships and stuff, through that, there's little hints of like the Ganon's theme going on.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really loved is a lot of music is similar or even the same for like regions exploring, but there's no longer any Guardian music to kind of freak you out.
Yeah. It's also when you actually get to the dungeon and you start activating some of the things, and then the track like it starts off pretty mellow. You get one thing, it builds, and by the time you're finding the last one and the final boss, it is just like so much happening, and it works so well. Yeah. I'm so happy about that.
And even that's, I guess, where I was leading to was the boss fights of the music finally has gotten there. You've made it all the way through Ganon's Tower, Hyrule Castle, you get to Ganon, full theme, full force, like you just said. Of like, you just get this full sound of the themes, everything that's going on. And it's so cool that like even the first one, the Rito I forget what it was called, but the big ice
Yeah.
dragon like thing flying around. I intentionally just like didn't kill it because there's 1 or 2 rounds with the bosses,
Right.
when then they change a mechanic or they get a new move or whatever.
Yeah.
I knew it was the last phase of the boss fight, and so I kind of just sat there like just floating around on my glider just a couple times up and down. It's like, this is my last chance to listen to it because Nintendo's proprietary, doesn't put their stuff on Spotify, all that kind of stuff.
That.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna reference Final Fantasy 16 a lot.
Sure.
But like the fact that it's on Spotify and I can hear this song and then I can walk around. I mean, even Persona 5, right? Of like Beneath the Mask. I'm playing that all the time while I'm walking around on campus, acting like the main character.
Yeah.
So I just hate that Nintendo. It doesn't make much sense to me, even if you paid
like
money.
if you put it out officially as yourself, it's not like you get money. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I've definitely searched up Wind Temple theme on YouTube a lot. That's
my
the one that
saddest thing is Goron City didn't change that much in their what do they call it, regional phenomenon was the quest line or whatever. Theirs didn't change visually much. Well, that's a lie. The lava and stuff all cooled down for Breath of the Wild, so it looked different in general for Tears of the Kingdom,
which I definitely enjoyed. That whole journey in Breath of the Wild of like, okay, I'm just gonna be popping whatever elixirs and stuff.
The fireproof lizards.
And I know that there was a way to like get some of the equipment beforehand.
That one was the hardest one. I remember that one being one I had to get to the city and buy the outfit for. Yeah. Because like Cold, you get the trousers early in Breath of the Wild. This one, you get same boots as well.
Okay, you found. I'm
I was
always
so
amazed
happy when
that
I did.
I hear people who didn't find them.
It was kind of like higher up and not in the main like loop of the shrines. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense.
But I was exploring every
always
nook and
be
cranny.
farming. Always be farming. Especially now that I've got the hero path mode. Yeah. I know where I've been. I know if I have to go farther. It's very nice.
So good. But yeah, just now being able to come in, not have to deal with the warmth, and then also have to kind of deal with it in the actual temple, which I don't know, that temple specifically, dungeon, whatever, I guess they call it Fire Temple. Yeah. That one is probably, and like I said, maybe it's just because I didn't play to the game's mechanics, because some of them were actually kind of difficult. I felt like that was the one, there was like one moment in that and one moment in the Gerudo where I kind of got stuck. And I know I just said that I didn't like those because I didn't get stuck, but I guess the weird thing is like how with these you can just kind of break the game. Yeah. And you can ascend, like in Gerudo, I was like, okay, I know that there's something here. I'm going to go to a spot, ascend through it. Oh, I didn't make it. Yeah. Try ascending here. And I broke it in like a weird way that eventually I could figure it out. Yeah. And I definitely didn't solve it in the way that you're supposed to, which is a good feeling, I can't lie. But it is.
I enjoy that with shrines a lot.
Yes.
When you can overbuild something or underbuild something, like puzzles, like I those are my 2 favorite ends. When I overbuild a puzzle, like I did not need to use 50 support beams for the stupid sign that Addison's holding up, but I did it and it didn't move, and I got my 20 rupees.
And also, whenever you go back, like if you were able to like keep it up,
I noticed
and it like tilts a little bit.
But it's still standing, but
But then now I'm like a perfectionist where I'm like, if this thing tilts once, I am moving the whole thing. But
I always overbuild those. Yeah. Shrines, it's fun when I get away with like Hackney, just like I used 1 or 2 things I did, but I made it work. Like, all right, I did it.
So I'm curious, did you get to, there was a specific shrine, and I remember because I was in my friend's Discord, like, I cannot do this shrine. And we all hopped on the voice chat, sharing our screens, and because some of them have capture cards, some of us don't. And they solved it so easily. It was the one where it's like 2 tracks. Okay. And you like have to hook, like you have different hooks that you can use. Does it sound familiar?
Some of them have fans to push it forward, but then others have like the overhanging hook where it like grabs onto a rail. It was a shrine and it goes where like there's 3 tracks, but then they drop off occasionally. Is it kind of similar to the Fire Temple? Yeah. Where there's different layers and stuff? Yes. So maybe not. Okay. Like I think I've hit a shrine similar. Yeah. But
I got stuck on that. And I eventually beat it after like an hour because I made a slingshot or a catapult using rewind.
Okay.
Catapulted
yeah.
myself up in the air, flew down, and then shield grinded on the rest of it.
Nice.
I was like, I am not building anything to do this. And then I see them come in, sharing their screen, and they're just like, so what was the problem? I was like, was that not the hardest shrine like ever? And they're like, no, I just attached it here and I attached it here. And I was like, I hate everything right now.
Yeah.
I promise I'm not an idiot.
I love puzzles like that though.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the grind can be a little monotonous, but at the same time it's not, because I love those little moments of just like, all right, I spent 20 minutes on this, or I spent 5 seconds on this. Both are fun for their different reasons and stuff. Yeah. I definitely have like an always be farming mindset of resource management. I want to have as much as I can as I go. Yeah. But with shrines, it was going up to Goron, or no, it was going to Gerudo, because you had to do like the heat resistant stuff. For the first time, like I was conflicted because I was eating those like meals and stuff to get the cool reduction. Yeah. But then the timer keeps going when you're in a shrine. And so I'd be walking, traveling, and I'd go in a shrine, come out, and have to eat another meal because I wasted too long in the shrine. So for the whole path to Gerudo, I just had to like
activate the shrine.
Activate it so I could teleport back. Yeah. Which I hate for my hero's path, because it's just like an annoying like hop back and forth over and over. Yeah. But, oh well.
I did that a lot, I think, especially specifically in the Sky Islands, maybe. Because it would always be those things where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get to this specific spot, and I only have a couple minutes on my battery, or like I don't want to lose this machine, so I'm just gonna activate it and keep going. Yeah. I don't remember specifically where, but there were 2 shrines that I had to do that with. Yeah. But usually I felt comfortable enough to just bust them out. Right. Yeah, which I don't know if it's just the tools that they now have, but the shrines feel a lot better and more unique, I feel like. There was definitely a lot of shrines that I came across in Breath of the Wild where it was like, we're using this mechanic again. Right. Cool. Bust it out. Move on. It doesn't feel like that in Tears. There's definitely still like mechanic based ones, right? Or even there's like the combat training ones where they teach you how to do like different things with the bow or whatever, which are a lot more actually fun. Yeah. Because it's not just like fighting the same boss. Yeah, it's not always the same. It changes a little bit. They like limit you on what move you have to do. So it's just a good like tutorial. But I agree, like the new mechanics, one, they're just new. They're fun. They're also a little bit less static in what they can do. Yeah. So I think that's another part that's like, even though I'm sure technically some of the puzzles have been repetitive, they haven't felt that way, because it's always, all right, what weird thing can I make? Yeah. Rewind has been very surprising to me, like what you can use it for. And rewinding the stuff that you ultra hand too. Yep. I mean, I've literally just made a floating platform like bridge before by using ultra hand to move it across, bring it back, and then just hit rewind. I've used that so much. Yeah. And I was talking to my friend about this, because I was like, it is crazy that the developers, I mean, obviously they had to know about this. Sure. And from a technical whatever perspective, that is very complicated. Yeah. My friend was actually trying to make that in Unreal, and the roadblocks that he kept coming across were super funny. He was able to put it together actually pretty well. I mean, obviously not to the polished level of Breath of the Wild, not to mention, or Tears of the Kingdom. Or to work with such a big map and all the variations of all the little nooks and crannies where they interact. With that block, you know? Yeah. But like the fact that they noticed that and we're like, let's just keep it. I don't know why that's so amazing to me, because the amount of crazy stuff that you can come up with in terms of the making catapults or just making elevators and stuff. I just feel like a lot of developers would probably be like, that's too complicated. Yeah. If you ultra hand something, you can't rewind it. Right. But they did, and I'm so happy that they did, because that's half of the enjoyment for me. And I'm very excited to see the development of the speedruns of this game, because I never like do speedruns myself, but I usually find like a YouTube like hour-long history of DK64 speedrunning, you know, like where it came from, what it's done. Yeah. And it's very interesting to see, like, I think with this, there's going to be a lot of game breaking that can happen in terms of speedrunning, just based on what you can do with Ultra Hand and Fuse and such, or like, it'll just be interesting to see what people start using or not. And this is something I noticed of like, I don't know if it's because all the speedrunners
were always running around in the old tunic, the old shirt and old
Oh, yeah.
shorts in Breath of the Wild. You always just looked like trash with only a tree branch, and that's all they used.
At least this time you look.
At least this
decent.
time you look nice with the archaic tunic.
Yeah.
Like, at least you'll look like a little bit like Link. You'll look nice while you're speed running around half naked on
Yeah,
Hyrule.
which is something that we talked about beforehand. The fact
Mm.
that has like 2 resistance, can upgrade it, but
Yeah.
it looks so
It
good
looks so
that you
good.
want to just keep it whenever. I was so mad about that.
Yeah. I do like it in terms of game mechanics, you start low.
Right.
I get it, but I'm just too in love with all the outfits
Yeah.
that I want to be able to wear whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm just too selfish that way. But it's like,
I mean, right now, I think end of the game I was rocking with I'm considering it like the canon one, because that's also what's
Sure.
on the amiibo and what's on a lot of the promotional,
right.
is like the hood down
But it's the blue tunic, right?
with the blue tunic.
But it has the Hyrule like chest pauldrons and stuff like that.
and like
Yeah.
a little bit of more armor, and then just
Mhm.
normal. I think it's like Hyrule trousers or
Yeah.
something.
I think it's the same base trousers and hood. It's just
Yes, it's just
the
the
champion's tunic that's like
Yeah.
the blend between
Yeah.
Breath of the Wilds and the Hyrule one. Yeah.
So when I finish the game, I made sure to have on the
Yeah, that
actual stuff, and it's a little sad to lose the long hairstyle of Link,
that's
because I love that.
kind of my main conflict too. Is I'm okay going back to old outfits. Sometimes
Right.
you need to, and they still look great. It's still fun.
Mhm.
But I love the long
Yeah.
hair, and so that's my biggest confliction. Like, I'd rather just not wear a headpiece,
Mhm.
so I can have this glorious mane of hair.
Yeah, that's what I did with the trousers of Twilight and the
Okay.
the whatever it's called here,
Yeah.
tunic
Mhm.
of Twilight. I didn't use the
The top.
top
Yeah.
just because I was like, this works out,
Yep.
and I have such like Twilight Princess was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
You know, the nostalgia
That
factor for
darker forest green to me of the tunic, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it so much.
Which the other thing that I want to spend a lot of time on after I beat it, or I mean, I did beat it, but like,
Yeah.
is the
Complete, I guess,
depths.
would be
Yeah,
getting all the shrines. Is
Which-
that what you mean more by?
I hope I do that at some point.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, what I do love about Tears of the Kingdom for me is it is just kind of like, as I was nearing the end, it became more of like my podcast game where I had
Okay.
like make a hover bike, just kind of
Yeah.
cruise around for a little bit,
Yeah.
have a podcast in, and then be like, oh, that looks cool over there. I'm gonna
Mhm.
pause the podcast and see what's going on over here. And like,
Yeah.
and I did that a lot in the depths towards the end, because I was finding a bunch of equipment and like the treasure maps that you find from the Sky Islands.
Mhm.
And I just love the depths for some reason.
Yeah. They're very cool.
They're so. Do you kind of know the secret?
I've done one of the statue paths where you
Okay.
follow the statues and
Yeah.
then you do the first like Master Koga fight.
Okay.
So
But do you know like
Beyond
what
that,
the
probably
depths
not.
are?
no, I mean, I've had my
you-
theories of like, there's always a darker Hyrule or a Underdark or a
Yeah.
Shadowfell kind of equivalent of Hyrule.
Yeah.
So I've mostly gotten that, except for that there's no like Hyrule Castle reversed. You know, so
Right.
it's not like the same that it is in like Link Between Worlds, Link to the Past.
Yeah.
So I actually probably don't have many theories of
Okay.
what it comes from,
I mean-
where it is, because most of the stuff has been. All the statues are focused on like the Demon
Yeah.
King and Ganon and stuff. Like, there's not much Zonai stuff down there.
Yeah.
It's all just evil. So it's a little
You're
pocket
pretty
plane of
much right.
evil, and they're just being summoned and pulled from there, is what I
Yeah.
guess. The Blood Moon pulls them from there or something.
Oh, I didn't think of that. But like, if you go to your map and like, I mean, do you kind of
Yeah.
just like check out the area that you have underground and then compare it to the area you have above
shrines line
ground?
up.
The shrines line up.
I don't know if they line up with the sky ones or not, but I've noticed
Oh,
for
I don't
sure
know.
the surface and
Yes.
depth ones line up.
And then like the mountains will line up where it'll be like a valley here for a mountain here, a river here for a wall here.
Okay, that's what I
so-
haven't noticed yet,
Yes.
and that's what I'm excited about actually,
Yeah.
because I've made a D&D setting kind of like that,
Oh,
of like
really?
the underworld, like the inverse of the map, the
Yeah.
topography, inversing it. So one, I just like that idea,
Mhm.
so that's cool. And also it makes it more fun now when I'm exploring
Yes,
to
that's
pay
how
more
I felt.
attention to that.
That's why I was kind of spoiled on that too by a podcast I was listening to. And then when I was exploring the depths and I didn't have a light route there, I would just
Yeah.
turn my mini map onto the
Yeah, right,
Overworld.
and it stays too when
and it
even when
stays.
you,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I'd just be like, okay, I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
even though it's pitch black and
Instead
I have
of
a bright
climbing
thing.
here, I'm going down because it's inverse. But that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
So I did appreciate that, and hopefully you don't
Yeah.
mind this
No,
too much.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, But no, and then also finding a bunch of like I found the boomerang from Wind Waker that I
Okay.
of course immediately broke, and I felt so dumb,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to get it back, and I
Yeah.
want to put it up in my house, which
Uh-huh.
I didn't even write down.
Oh, is the
The
thing to talk about?
house? Have
Zelda's
you-
house?
Not just Zelda's house,
But I haven't done any of the
Okay.
what I assume it's still through Terrytown and stuff, that storyline.
Yes,
So I haven't done any of like the new house
okay,
stuff. Yeah.
but
It
Zelda's
did break
house-
my heart to go back to it and then to see Zelda's house. I
Really?
loved it. I loved it.
I didn't mess around with the house too much in Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, it's good to know that Zelda came in and re-innovated my really bad space.
Yeah. I think I bought for 400 wood pieces.
Yeah. And I've also loved all the fan theories of like,
Mm.
there's only one bed, guys.
There's
and it's
one
like,
bed.
yeah, Zelda just took over and kicked him out.
Yeah.
you know?
He was in the
Totally.
stable with Epona.
Did you find the other thing in near that area in Zelda's house?
Hondo or
In the Hateno area, there's like one other place
probably not that.
near Zelda's house. I guess your and Zelda's house. Okay, there's like a
I have a heart stamp on my map of something to explore, but I
Okay.
don't think so.
there's just a make sure to explore the wells, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did there's a big group of wells, isn't there? There's like all four of them
Yeah.
through Hondo Village are
Okay.
connected.
There's
so I did
one
do
that's
those.
not connected, or maybe it is, but there's like a diary down there and stuff.
Okay, I have read that. Then.
You have okay,
Yeah.
and you got like the little thing that shows
You
or
get
that
the
gets
old
his
hair
old
tie.
hairstyle. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay.
I
have
didn't
done
want
that.
to
Yeah.
say anything because that
No,
was a
yeah.
big moment for me of
Yeah.
like, she had her own little study and
Yeah.
I was dying.
Even finding that in Hyrule Castle in
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild, it was just like the off
Yeah.
little spire thing, kind of like I don't know what
Mhm.
those are called, flying buttresses or whatever they
Something.
are. Some architectural term, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I play games. I don't design buildings, but
we'll bring Brennan in.
yeah. that was like her study
Mhm.
area in Breath of the Wild, and so finding this was cool.
Yeah.
I really liked the wells and caves as
Mhm.
it kind of connected to that
Yeah.
of like
And finding
there's the
different
two
armor
sisters that are always looking for the
Mhm.
mushrooms. There's the one lady who's now at Lookout
stuff. Mm-hmm.
Tower and stuff, but it has like the collecting all the well locations
Yep.
where they are.
And then
Those
there's like two brothers as well who are always
That's right.
going treasure hunting.
yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
also Colton who wants the
Yep.
gems. And so like there's multiple people related to all like the overworld stuff. And it is interesting of those I'd call mini shrines maybe.
Something like that.
They're
Like
like
side quests.
side quests. They're not dungeons. They're not
Mm.
temples. Then we've got the actual temples for the storylines.
Oh, you mean just as like environments they are like
Yeah,
little
and then
puzzle-
dungeons are like the big labyrinth stuff. Would you call those more dungeons?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And
Yeah.
I love those so
Yeah.
much. Of just like
I'm excited for whatever is going on in the sky
Yes.
ones. That's what I'm most excited about.
you've like I'm assuming noticed that it's like
yeah,
kind of
it's mirrored and stuff. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's anything in the depths as well. If there's 3 or if it's just the 2. But I have
Yeah.
definitely noticed the sky ones.
Yes. That is fun, and if you have like the sky mobility stuff as well,
Yeah.
that makes it really fun.
That's part of why I've waited to start those,
Mhm.
any of the labyrinths ones, because the one in Hebra is like right close to a geoglyph.
Mhm.
So I'm waiting for that geoglyph
yep.
to show up in the timeline, then I'll do it same time.
Which that's an interesting way of how you're playing is you're going in line with the timeline,
Yeah.
which I just kind of did them when I came across, and I think you would text me of like, is this smarter
Yeah.
to do this?
If I
And I was
gotta
like,
spoil myself,
you have to at least
do the geoglyphs
yes
before that you can actually get the other thing. So
the other, yeah
it didn't matter.
it didn't matter, but also I like that perspective that you're going with because I wonder if it will tell a more complete story.
Yeah.
And there's one memory that you can't get in a geoglyph,
Okay.
which I don't know if you want me to tell you
Sure.
specifically. It's Korok Forest.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I was kind of curious why, like, when you do the storylines
Mm-hmm.
and the sages meet with the old sage. I've been kind of surprised that those haven't been kept as memories to rewatch.
Yeah.
They're just not in that same category.
That is
So I just
interesting.
want to rewatch them, but for the music, for all
yeah,
all that stuff.
exactly.
But there's definitely more memories than there are geoglyphs.
Mhm.
So there's gonna be more
Yeah.
then.
And you eventually figure out some stuff. It's a really cool moment.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm really impressed with how you're doing that because I wouldn't have the self control.
Yeah.
I would just go to whatever.
I think nostalgia wise, Pokemon will always be my favorite franchise, I think, because I just grew up with it. That's the games I
gotcha.
played the most. So like nostalgia, they're my favorite. But Zelda games are my actual like favorite type of games.
Hmm.
Specifically, especially with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I love role playing, kind of getting into the mindset of like, okay, I'm Link. I'm on this road. I'm out in the forest. Do I have any reason to run? No,
No.
there's no monsters around.
Right.
There's a boar chilling over there, but they're happy. They're just eating some grass. They're not doing
Yeah.
anything harmful. So it's like I walk. I can only fast travel if it's a shrine to a shrine, like, or sorry, not a shrine, a stable to a stable,
Oh,
or a
interesting.
tower to a tower.
Huh. Because I had a similar boat where for a lot of it, I didn't want to fast travel. And then I got stuck in the depths for 10 hours. And I was like, I got to get out of here, dude. I'm losing brain cells.
Yeah, and I do have a practical limit of things
Yeah.
of like, okay, I left this shrine unfinished because I had heat resistance, whatever. So I'll go back to that. So I feel fine teleporting for that.
Yeah.
Teleporting for fairies or like going back to Hotno
Mhm.
Village to dye my clothes and stuff. Like I'll teleport for that willy nilly.
Hmm.
But if I'm ever exploring an area, I have to walk it. I get to a stable, I take out my horse, I go back through it to, like
yeah.
I always retravel roads. I go slow. I play vegetarian. I talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
I don't kill any wildlife. If I accidentally do, or if wolves are my main exception because they actually attack you.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's a
I'll
good
kill
point.
one wolf so that the rest go away.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I don't collect meat. If
Yeah.
it's there, I'll save it because I'll cook it and that's how I get rupees.
Yeah.
Because meat is such a great way to farm for money.
Yeah, it really is.
And so I kind of limit myself there
Yeah.
because I can't hunt. So I
Smart.
grind elsewhere. But like, I very much like play role play.
Hmm.
So I think that's the main reason why, to loop around to what you were first saying, of the memories. When I first played Breath of the Wild the first time, obviously didn't know the order, didn't know anything. So I
Yeah.
just got them as I got them, and that was fine. I loved it.
Right.
When I replayed it, I was playing it in this mindset of like the walking, not running, vegetarian, like the role play side.
Yeah.
And I looked up the memory locations based on their order, and in my replay, I did that,
Interesting.
and I just really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think it changed the experience per se. Like, you
just found
still
it more
get the
enjoyable.
reveal, like the reveals just happen at different times, but I loved being able to kind of just see the full story. So I did decide, like, because it gave me a temple where it's like, here's the map of where all geoglyphs are, and here's the order. Oh,
Oh.
let's say that again because that's probably going to get peaked.
Yeah.
Here's the order of all the geoglyphs to find them of the memories. It was kind of just an easy, like, all right, I'm going to stay in order because it's going to build a nice coherent story for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it would change it, but it's just a way that kind of fits how I play. So it's more
Right.
fun for me.
Interesting. There were a couple story moments, I don't know if you've gotten to them,
Mhm.
where I do wish that I'd played through it story-wise, because it would be
Yeah.
like a specific character or something, and then
Yeah.
something big happens to their character arc. And I'm like, I don't have the context to really, like, it was a big hitting moment or moments,
Right.
and I don't have the context for them too much. It still hit, but I wish it hit more.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That was even like Breath of the Wild. There's the memory where Link and Zelda are traveling on the road and it starts raining,
Oh, yeah.
and he's just swinging around his sword and Zelda just kind of talking.
Mm-hmm.
I found that one super early because it's like right off of the Great Plateau. It's like just
yeah.
northeast of it. So I found it super early as one of my first memories.
Can you get the memories without getting the pictures first?
I think I had gone to Kakariko, but I was
Oh,
just
okay.
I was
You
just
would
still
return back.
exploring that region, like actually going down to Farron. So then I looped back down
Yeah.
and got it after because I do remember like knowing about the quest when it happened,
Right.
but it was kind of like I just randomly found it as my first one, and I liked it. Obviously, it was a fun memory, but
Right.
it didn't hit me until once I beat the game and I got all the memories. I was going up to Hyrule Castle. I was like, I'm gonna replay everything and then go into the storm the castle. I realized, oh, I really like this memory a lot more. So that was kind of another time. I was like, oh, I like doing it in order. I think it just the linear in me of the old Zelda games. Like I just kind of want to bring it back.
Cool. I don't know. I almost kind of want to replay Tears of the Kingdom in that way. But there's still so much stuff I need to do with that. I don't know if I'll ever end up replaying it. I'll just keep doing the main playthrough.
Even the main story felt a little bit more handheld of basically everyone went to the Zora domain first.
For Breath of the Wild.
For Breath of the Wild. Like almost everyone did. even though it was open ended.
I didn't. I went
You
to
did?
Rito.
Oh, you special child.
I know, I'm so special.
You went to
Thank
the best one too.
I
That's my
know.
favorite.
The same thing
Got the
happened-
best outfit off
Then
the
again,
bat.
Tears of the Kingdom, it does want you to kind of go to Rito first.
Yeah, that's the
So,
thing. Like Tears of the Kingdom feels a little more guided, not just for the first one, Rito, but also even like it kind of felt like it directed me Goron next, Gerudo, and
Really?
then Zora last. I don't know if
Okay.
that's the same order you did.
No, I did. Rito. I think I did Gerudo,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did Zora,
Okay.
and then Goron. So I kind of went in
You went the
circle.
circle, yeah. Goron. Okay. I never really liked Daruk's protection because it never
Yeah.
happened at the right time for me, so I always turned that one off.
Interesting.
This one, Unibo, is kind of just flame charge. I don't know what it's actually called.
Yeah.
It's fun, but I always accidentally click it all
Yep.
the time. And so it's both fun and annoying.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm glad to have it because Breath of the Wild, my go-to starting combat was throwing a bomb.
Oh,
And now
interesting.
you don't have that anymore. In
Yeah.
terms of, we have bomb flowers, but resource management me is like, oh, I can't use that until it's
Right.
dire. So I've lost my bombs to start off fights. But now with Unibo back, I can kind of just launch him in.
Yeah. I've had some thoughts about that whole thing
Mm-hmm.
because, man, if there was one complaint,
Mm-hmm.
2 complaints that I have, the controls,
Yeah.
there's just so much, like, I don't, the game developer in me doesn't really find a solution to everything you're trying to do. So I understand that.
Right.
Doesn't excuse it, in my opinion. But man, those sages,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way to activate them is to
Go
run
walk up
press
to
A,
them.
press A. And if you're trying to do that in the middle of a fight, specifically with Unibo and what's the Gerudo? Riju. Never happening.
Yeah.
And often I just turn them off. The only
Yeah.
one I keep is good old
Tulin's great for
Tulin.
exploration.
and
you
man,
know?
me and my friend would say this is like things back and forth. This motherfucker don't miss, dude, every single
I
time.
know, that's true.
And I wouldn't say it. There's a moment at the end and he hits a headshot
Nice.
and you're just like, he's just the best. Oh, I love it.
Well, that feels like the moment in Twilight Princess when you've got all the friends that you meet along the way, and like
Mhm.
Hyrule in Castletown, like this underground
Yeah.
tavern, those people that you meet in there.
Yeah.
When that group of people show up when you're storming Hyrule Castle, you're up on like a bridge, and
Mhm.
a huge enemy comes out on the other side, and
Yeah.
the gates close. It's like this cutscene thing. Like, oh crap, what's going on? How am I going to get out of this? And the guy from your hometown who gives you the starting sword
Yes.
has the rocket launcher, shoots the enemy
Yes.
off the bridge. Again, chills from this. But like, I love that cutscene so much.
There's a moment which
It feels kind of like that. You've got
Yeah.
this. I love that idea of you got this crew that you've built through the story, the people you've met. You get a little bit of Breath of the Wild with the beams. It chunks down Ganon's health, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
They're off on the sidelines. So I like the aesthetic of,
they definitely,
even though the mechanics are a little wonky at times and all that, it's fun to have this atmosphere of like, here's this group's coming in with me. It makes the fights kind of cool and
Yeah.
exciting.
I guess my one thing, the game developer in me is like, there's definitely better ways. And I think even me and like, because I'm taking a class right now,
Mhm.
and honestly, the last couple of weeks, it's been us talking about Tears of the Kingdom for the
Yeah,
first little bit.
yeah.
And even our game idea is slightly based off of that
Mhm.
tool power up system.
Okay.
And it's just been like, there was so many better ways to go about this.
For me, my biggest one is having a trigger, a bumper, and then having one sage mapped to one button.
Right.
Because it used to be Tulin was kind of mapped to X. At least that's how it is when you're jumping.
Yeah.
And you quickly use it. But everyone else is mapped to A.
Mhm.
So to me, like game development wise, it'd be, you have Tulin's always X, Unibo's always A, whatever it is. They each
Yeah.
get a button and you push L and then you push that and that's how you talk to them.
Something.
Rather than have to walk up to them. Do like
Yeah. I don't know. And that's the one complaint, I guess, that I would have. And obviously, like, that's such a minor thing, I feel like, compared to the rest of it.
Sure.
It is just unfortunate that, like, as I'm traveling around, especially at the end when you have
You've got
all
4
of
of them,
your
yeah.
sages. Yeah, so 7 sages.
There are 7 types of sages and 4 regions, 4 champions in that regard.
And then you got Zelda, Rauru,
And
and
Sonya
Sonya.
is one of them. I think those are the initial 7. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if Rauru counts, actually.
Rauru for sure has a tier though,
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, because there is one more.
because it says it's for sure 7. There is now that we get into Gerudo, there's a little bit of the 8th heroine
Oh,
the
yeah.
statues.
Okay.
I don't know if that's related or just
It
like a
might
Garuda
be.
storyline or whatever. But I don't know if Link becomes one. I don't know if Zelda still counts as 2. So I guess that's true. I don't know if you only have 4 sages that follow around with you, or if you've got 5, 6,
Yeah.
7 that you've got this army behind you or not. But
It's not like a full army, but
Mhm.
it does, and maybe it's just
4
because
plus.
4+.
4
Yes.
plus.
And it's just it can be a lot, is what
Yeah.
I will say. So like I said, I usually would turn off most of them.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy having Unibo and Reju for mining,
Oh, yes.
because I
Yeah.
just do Unibo, shoot them into the rocks,
Yep.
and then there was like one specific area that required a lot of mining, and so I was constantly just Unibo go Ryu, or I keep wanting to say Ryuji, which
I
is
think it is a U.
Persona 5. It's Riju. I'm pretty sure it's Riju.
Riju. So yeah,
Okay, it's
Riju.
just so close to Ryuji,
Yeah.
and I'm such a nerd. Riju would, because the lightning also can mine. So
Right.
I was constantly just you.
And you just shoot an arrow to it and then it cracks.
and then you can pick up the arrow afterwards, which
Sure.
is nice.
So it's only the weapon.
Yeah.
That you're actually losing. Anything else, like the durability of the
Yeah.
item is all you're really losing.
Which, and I will say, like you haven't gotten the. Do you know who the Zora champion is?
Well, it's Sidon, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I never used his stuff.
Yeah.
It was disappointing because he was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably goes like Tulin. Never mind, they're all good. I think Unibo might be the last. but we're
Yeah,
not-
Unibo's
yeah.
my last.
Yeah.
Just, I love the Gorons. I like the dopey stoner ones in like Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
exactly
the
how I
one
feel.
that's drawn that's like massive hunchback. Like there's a 3 super old ass ones in Twilight
Mhm.
Princess. He's got like this long pipe. It's like one of my favorite Goron designs ever. It's like in one of the sketchbooks of like concept designs.
Yeah.
I just love that one so much. This one, I'm not disappointed by them. They're just not my favorite like design of the Gorons.
agree.
They're just my least favorite race in general, kind of a thing. They're always
Racist.
fun. I am racist, I guess.
I just said the same thing, so
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Species, I guess, is
Species.
and that's what D&D is doing. Is they're moving away from
Interesting.
calling things like that races and calling them now species,
Yeah,
which I guess is a clearer, more
That makes
precise
more
way,
sense.
a better way to say it. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like that's always. I mean, once again, bringing up Final Fantasy because that's a big topic is diversity and race. And
Yeah.
as I'm playing through it, I am like, there's a definite reason because if you have people of color in a story about slavery and bondage, and
Right.
I don't know if that would work out well.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm very just Sidon is really good, but his power is
Mhm.
just is not helpful.
Lackluster.
Unibo is fun when you're flying around and stuff, which
Yeah.
I was surprised earlier you said like, oh, I'll go to a stable, pick up my horse. I am never using my horse.
Yeah.
I'm hopping on the hover bike, I'm making a
Yeah.
car, and I know you do the resource management.
I'm getting
stuff.
past it though.
Okay.
So that's my thing is I'm now half of the way through probably in
Okay.
terms of like story. I've done 3 of the regions.
That makes sense.
But there's still a lot of exploration stuff.
Yeah.
So at this point, I've built enough backlog, a little cache, a little supply closet
Yeah.
to where I'm starting to be more lenient with what I use. And I think that's one of the main things is like, there's a lot of Koroks on the road that it's mostly just build a cart super fast and easy to
Yeah.
drop them off.
Attach a rocket to him.
Yeah. That's always fun. But when I didn't have a lot, I was like, oh, I'll come back and do that later. So
Yeah.
like, I think a lot of that stuff I'll do of like
Okay.
building the carriages and stuff. I have started using carts because
Okay.
even just doing the fairy storylines,
Yeah,
you've
you
got
have to
to
use the cart.
get the bards up there to play their music. And so like,
Mhm.
that's allowed me like, okay, I'm far enough in, I can start building things. I can.
Yeah. I have definitely found myself. I'm not like building some of the crazy stuff that I see online
Yeah,
of like torture chambers.
Right.
But also, I don't know if this was obviously a me problem.
Mhm.
I forgot about auto build for a while,
Yeah.
especially adding your own machines to auto build.
Right.
So for a while, I was like, I don't want to build because like, why would I take the time to build all of this from scratch and get out the equipment when I can just
Right.
hop on a horse?
Right.
And then I remembered, actually, my friend had to remind me of auto build when I complained about this to him. And it basically just transformed the game. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need a car, use auto build.
Pop out a car. Yeah.
And now I'm out of the Zonai stuff.
Yeah. And that's actually the other reason is I just learned that I thought you still had to have all the materials
Yeah.
to build stuff
You
rather
don't.
than using the Zonite shards to replace or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that I just actually learned. So I think that's another reason that will allow me to start doing it I don't have to go find a place to find a fan, build a cart. I can now just
Yeah,
plop it out nice and ready to go.
that is really nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there any? I mean, there's so much that even I'm thinking of.
Sure. We talked a little bit about music, and just kind of one thing is Rito Village. I loved how they changed it. That song was so beautiful, of all dampened in the snow is magical. I love that. And I should have saved before the temple back in Rito Village, because as soon as you do it, it's gone.
It's gone.
The song's gone.
Yeah.
Nintendo, put your stuff on Spotify, please. Any broadcasting music.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was sad that changed. So I'm halfway through Gerudo. I don't know if it's going to change or not, if it's still going to be like disheveled on the surface or not. But Goron didn't change much music-wise. But those two music changes, I loved the apocalyptic kind of like Rito and Gerudo's music that was going on, which is beautiful. I loved them.
So I guess kind of closing us off, because this is something that I've been figuring out, and this is something that I was like thinking about, and obviously you haven't finished it, so it's a little bit harder to say right now.
Sure.
For me, I obviously went in with Tears of the Kingdom, super high expectations. Breath of the Wild is like my favorite game of all time. It's like the top 3 of. It's similar of what you said with your Zelda games, where every time
it's a top
change.
For its own reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like Breath of the Wild, Last of Us Part 2, Persona 5.
Nice.
Constantly changing, constantly going back and forth. So I went into Tears of the Kingdom like, this is a follow-up to my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Where is it going to stack? I'm curious how it's stacked for you. And kind of like you said that, like, is Breath of the Wild in that kind of top Zelda, top games of all time for you?
Yeah. Like Breath of the Wild, definitely. I think it is the clear, easy choice of it is my favorite.
Right.
Based on how many hours I've spent, how much enjoyment I get about the replayability. The nostalgia is its own thing with the older games. But I think that's how I can separate it. Like, I'm still very nostalgic about the old ones, but Breath of the Wild is definitely my top Zelda game, plus just my top game in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, going into Breath of the Wild, it was like, is it just going to be more of the same? Is it going to be extra, more different? Like, I didn't know where that was going to go.
Where has it stacked up for you?
I think for me, I'm very satisfied, because it's taken all the elements from the nostalgic stuff that I've really liked. It's brought it back in. And for me, the kind of that role play approach that I take to of, I just replayed Breath of the Wild, revisited all these people, all these towns, knew the names and stuff. So to kind of have that continuation is really fun. An actual like proper sequel in a Zelda game is fairly rare, like a direct sequel. So I loved kind of how it added to it. My brother, though, he'd never finished Breath of the Wild, but he's been playing Tears of the Kingdom. And he said it's been fine in terms of like, you get the context clues of like, oh, I should know this person. I helped them out, but I guess I didn't play it. But I feel like it kind of cheats the magic of what Tears of the Kingdom has. Like its biggest sell point for me is it's a sequel that does it well, of like, it carries the story on, it brings things back, it changes things, it keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
But that's kind of its biggest sell point for me, is it is actually like a proper sequel.
Yeah.
And so it needs Breath of the Wild to me to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
I think it would still be great if it didn't have Breath of the Wild, mechanics wise, gameplay, all that. But because that's there and you've got that overarching story, it's 10 times better just because of that.
Yeah. I know when like the hype was super prevalent of Tears of the Kingdom,
right?
He was like, can I just hop in like right now of Tears of the Kingdom? And I specifically was like, you would lose some enjoyment.
Right.
And I think he decided to wait off for a little bit. But I think just in terms of that, I agree wholeheartedly of like returning to some of those old villages and returning back to people and just seeing a bunch of all of that. And the fact that it is a proper sequel is so cool. And maybe it's just the more sandbox elements of it also. I don't know. And I'm obviously this is going to depend on like where it sits in my own headspace months later, years later.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to touch Breath of the Wild for me. I guess this is just me getting in my soapbox a little bit of just like
preach.
Breath of the Wild. I have a lot of personal memories with that, and so I kind of knew that it wouldn't touch Breath of the Wild for me. Just where I was space of time and like the build up to that, where like when it was first called the Switch was called the NX. I was following all the leaks and I was cat sitting and lawn mowing to get $300 for it. And like all of that built up to Breath of the Wild is just one of those memories that's never gonna.
Mhm.
I don't think I will ever have anything like that in my life again.
Yeah.
Um, and then also from a more gameplay standpoint, there's something about having that more sandbox element for me
Mm-hmm.
kind of ruin exploration.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I can see that because it
Yeah,
almost feels like there's a new game coming out like Polya, or there's a lot of Genshin's bigger, but there's a lot of games that spawned from Breath of the Wild
exactly. Yeah.
that were either there's less developed, less polished, whatever it is, to where they've got cool gimmicks, they've got cool gameplay stuff, but it does kind of it feels like, oh, I'm playing a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get stuck in the meta level in my mind, kind of a thing. Of like
Yeah.
I'm playing a game, I'm actively learning how to do mechanics rather than just enjoying the story
Mm-hmm.
and playing the experience of it. And
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Of this one has been a lot more mechanics based
And just
in the terms of gameplay for
Yeah.
sure. Like there's also like there's the Hauses squad that you're doing like the clearing out Hyrule, you're doing
I
the
love
goblin
yeah.
the bokoblin camps, not goblins, the bokoblin camps and stuff. You're killing them off. There's the temples / dungeons. There's the caves. So there's like
Mhm.
so many different types of gameplay now, but it does kind of feel like you're always playing the gameplay more so than
Yeah.
you're just in the world.
Okay.
So I'd agree with
Glad
that.
that this is not just
Yeah.
me coming up with excuses.
No. And even I think I'd have to finish this game to have the story
Mhm.
to do a final say.
That's the one thing of like story wise,
Mhm.
moments wise, cutscene wise,
This one tops it for
tops
you.
it not even close.
Okay.
Um,
And I think that's kind of my main selling point difference,
mhm.
because kind of the same, the nostalgia of literally sitting in Breath of the Wild, walking around the Great Plateau. Like I have so many same thing, like so many memories just being in that world,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. Well, it's Breath of the Wild, like that. It's named like the open spaces,
Yeah.
the calmer music. Like I don't know if that can really be touched. It's kind of like it was its own experience,
Right.
And I definitely don't play Tears of the Kingdom for that same barren world thing. Like
Right.
this, that's what's exciting is because it is a sequel. It's not the barren world anymore. It's like it's redeveloped.
It's a lot
and
more
stuff.
lived in and stuff.
Yeah, so that's like okay, we had the barren experience. That was fun. It can't be touched of like that.
Yeah.
But story and the character continuation, I think, is
Mhm.
what's really been selling me on Tears of the Kingdom. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the part I really enjoy about this.
That's interesting. I wonder if also just this year has been crazy in terms of games.
Yeah.
Unlike what that there's a tweet of some, of course, esport centric guy of like, what ruined gaming? And we're
Mm.
like, we are in 2023 where we've got Resident Evil 4 remake, Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4. Please play something else, you know?
Yeah.
But I honestly think this is going to go down as one of the best years of gaming, if not the best year of gaming.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious if like the fact that Final Fantasy 16 was coming out and the fact that Street Fighter 6 has come out as well, and like
Mm.
I rushed through it, and that always makes me sad of like, did I ruin that experience for me?
Mm.
And maybe it is. Then months later, I remember the moment of discovering the secret of the depths or getting
Right.
across this. I just, when I think back on it, a lot of it is like finding those towns and seeing how they've progressed and doing
Mhm.
the little storyline of the mayor in Terrytown.
Yeah.
And like, there were a lot of heart wrenching moments for me in this
Mhm.
game. But then the exploration is me hopping on a hover bike, flying over most of it. And maybe that's me ruining it for myself. And I need to, let's hop on a car. Let's find whatever comes across.
Yeah.
But it felt a lot of like, okay, I want to see how this place has changed. I want to see how this
Mhm.
place has changed. Instead of in Breath of the Wild, it was, this looks
What
cool.
is this?
Let's check this
Yeah.
out. I already know what it is.
Right.
So it was, has this changed? What's new about this? And
Mhm.
it still had the exploration, but it wasn't coming across it. It was,
Yeah.
let me see how this has changed.
Yeah. And it just feels different.
Yeah.
In that, like it's got its own experience.
Which I'm glad that it does.
Mhm.
Like, as much as I'm saying like it does untouched, I am glad that it's not just Breath of the Wild
You're
again.
glad it's different, but your preference is going to be more towards Breath of the Wild in terms of
think
like
so.
where that experience had for
I'm
you.
curious how it's going to look in a couple
Yeah.
years. I mean, obviously, I think game of the year wise, if Geekwave does like a game of the year, which I hope that we do,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Ronnie hasn't played it, so
Mm.
there might be some arguments
A
there.
little
that we
bit of
need to-
attention. Yeah.
But I think that it's going to win game of the year no matter
Yeah.
what. I think the only competition coming up is Starfield.
Okay.
And I thought Final Fantasy 16, but just based off of a review standpoint and based off of what I've heard,
Yeah.
pacing wise, doesn't come close. Not that I still think Zelda's gonna
Yeah.
sweep just like it did 2017.
I think it's kind of just the name of the game with a big release like this of like, it's kind of just,
Yeah.
it's expected.
In fact, I've heard a lot of publications are like, I think we're gonna have a Breath of the, or a Game of the Year that isn't Zelda category, because like there's so many good games that of course Zelda's gonna win. They want to shout out the second place.
Yeah. This year we're giving everything to Tears of the Kingdom. Now we're gonna go through our second places, and then they just do the whole award show for the second place.
I love that. I would love if like full on Jeff Keighley Game Awards does that just, instead of seeing.
Yes, you won. Good job. But now we're gonna talk about everyone else.
Just have one big like, here's this trophy, here's this one, here's this one. Go on a 20-minute or just as long as Christopher Judge did last year. I don't know if you saw that, but he had a really long acceptance award speech.
Okay, yeah.
Similar boat for Tears of the Kingdom. Mm-hmm. But yeah, is there any closing thoughts that you kind of have? Anything else that you wanted to cover, talk about?
I think that's about it. Like, just love the game, and I think my last crackpot theory of what's going on with Zelda is, okay, so I've gotten enough memories that I've learned there's these things called sages. Yep. And there's the old sage and there's the new sages.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
There's also Breath of the Wild, there's 3 dragons that fly around the map. Yep. Now there's another one in the sky that's new. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm surprised you noticed that. I actually didn't.
Yeah, well, that's another Study in the Music moment of just as soon as that dragon theme comes on, I instantly stop. I put on a disguise, like a Bokolin Max if I need to, or I literally just stop and let the music play as it flies over.
Smart. Is it a different theme?
No, well, the ground ones are still the same. I haven't noticed if the sky one's a different theme or not.
Okay.
Because I haven't been close enough to the one in the sky to hear the music. It's been in the distance.
I just didn't notice.
You just gotta walk. If you play the game, literally barely touching your joystick, just walking everywhere, you see a lot.
All right.
Takes a lot of hours.
It might have just been in the background, and I just didn't notice that it was a new dragon.
Because from a distance, it's fairly just black coloration, like you can notice. But the white mane is the main thing that. So okay, that's different. It's not the same crystal stuff that the other 3 had.
So what's your theory on that, though?
So that's my theory. So there were 3 dragons. Now there's an extra one. I've gotten the memory where I forget who they're meeting with, but they're meeting with some Zonai person. Who's Minoru, that's the name, of the process of the old sages becoming dragons. And so there's the 3 that for sure are the old 3 elemental ones from the past. But now it's like, okay, where'd that one come from? And I've gotten the memories of their fight against Ganon not going well, so Rauru decides to seal Ganondorf instead of like killing him or whatever. So like that's his new plan or whatever. So there's him, there's Sonya. I don't have hopes of either of them surviving or doing things out, like I'm guessing he gets sacrificed in that moment of sealing Ganondorf, so he's gone. Dragon could be Sonya or Zelda is one thought I've got. Some of that is a little bit of artwork I've seen, but I don't know if it's just people putting them together or if it's just Link, so like.
I'm very impressed that you haven't, like artwork-wise, haven't gotten spoiled. Then again, similar thing with like Beyond the Spider-Verse. I guess you guys just are chronically
I am pretty removed from things, so it's like, that's kind of why it happens. Literally, artwork is the main thing that I get spoiled, but most of that's Critical Role or Zelda stuff. But, so Sonya or Zelda could be the dragon is one thought, because they were old sages.
Right.
My thought of why it's not Zelda is, okay, it's a Zelda game. Are they going to not kill her off, but that's kind of a kill her off kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Is she going to return still? Is that Sonya? I would guess it's Sonya if Zelda's coming back. If Zelda's just out, she's a dragon. She's a dragon. And Sonya, I don't know what happens to her. Yeah. The other sages, I think, is going to be fairly irrelevant in terms of the dragons or whether like which one became which dragon. I don't know if that's like fully revealed or not.
I actually don't know if any of them
like are 1-to-1,
like confirmed,
because you meet who the old sage was, but they're fairly masked up and all that. So
that could be a cool theory, actually.
Because I would guess the Goron or Gerudo. No, Gerudo would probably be the lightning one. Goron would be the fire. Water would be the ice. Rito just wouldn't have one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where like I don't know 1-to-1 or if it's left in the air or not.
Well, yeah.
Part of that theory too is the Master Sword.
Yeah.
Master Sword could be in Korok Force again. I don't feel like they're gonna do that. I think it'll be either at the new Temple of Time, because the Master Sword used to be in the Temple of Time in like Ocarina of Time,
Yeah.
right? Like at least the one that's kind of down on the surface.
Mhm.
It used to look like that. So now there's the sky one.
Right.
Could be there. We're definitely going to return to that for something. I don't know what, but I bet there's something there. Maybe stuff with the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the sword's there. I don't know if the dragon has the sword because I haven't been able to see like the horn. I don't know if it's like literally like jammed into his forehead. Those are my main things of like there's something either connecting Sonia and Zelda to the dragon, and then the Master Sword may play into it or not.
Yeah.
Because I've got enough with the sages now. That's my working theory.
Nice.
So
I don't want to say anything.
Sure, I appreciate the poker face.
You can tell that I'm trying, and I hope that you guys. Oh, I guess I'm not in shot the whole time. I have definitely been trying my best.
Sure.
Yeah. I do make sure to text me when you.
It's right now. It's 50-50 between it's Zelda or it's Sonia. Which part of that is a lot of the stable storylines. Zelda has been doing something either weird or like telling them not to do something that should be normal.
Like not wearing pants or something.
Yeah, I did do that one.
Not wearing clothes in general.
So it's like...
real quick, I love the girl that's just there where she's like, you guys are idiots.
I showed up late and you guys are all naked. She's like, love that.
But yeah, keep going.
So it's like all those things, there's definitely like an evil Zelda going on. I don't know if you played Link Between Worlds. The portrait one, the 3DS one.
Oh, I started playing it, but I never got far.
It's very similar as Link Between to the Past storyline.
It's basically a remake, but different.
Yeah, like same storyline of the Light Hyrule, Dark Hyrule. And in that one, there's kind of like the evil Zelda. The one from Lore Rule is like there's that Zelda kind of like working against you, kind of with you kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's Zelda, if it's Sonia, someone disguises her when we've seen her out on the surface.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'll let you know what my what my reaction is when I bawl my eyes out learning where Zelda's been.
Yeah, and it's funny, even in like your conversation, I was like, oh yeah, there's 3 different things that I want to talk about, but I think we should cap it off here.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe, like I said, if we do that game of the year idea, I know what like Giant Bomb does is like best moment of the year. Maybe that's something that we do and we just go full spoilers. I would feel bad for spoiling it for like Ronnie and Caitlin if she wants to participate in that as well.
Sure.
But maybe that's just something we brainstorm a little bit.
Very fun.
Until then, thank you guys so much for listening to us just basically rant about how much we love Zelda. I feel like I ended it off a little bit more negatively on my perspective. It's still my game of the year. It's still going to be somewhere in top 10, top 20 for me, just of all time. But I think we both just love it. And if you guys haven't played it and you've gotten this far, I don't know what you guys are doing. It's totally worth, it's totally worth it.
It's worth it.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to, once again, give this podcast a rating out of 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure to follow our social medias. All will be linked down below. And if you'd like to be on the podcast as a guest, whether in person or virtually, feel free to shoot me an email at j.day@usudentmedia.com. But until then, we will see you guys next time.